So here we have Tokes. So going in just a little bit about the cannabis industry in general. Currently, the global market cap is at around 7.7 billion, and US accounts for about 90% of that. It's projected that by 2021, we're going to see a 4x increase in the overall market, which would put us over $30 billion. And it's expected that US won't keep on pace with the 90% of the global market that we currently hold, but we're expected to be at around 60%. And then a 2017 Gallup poll showed that 64% of Americans are supporting marijuana legalization. And just recently, the newly legalized trade contributed an estimated $655 million in tax during 2017. So there's definitely a lot of money in this industry and a lot of potential upside to legalizing it and taxing it. Just a quick look at the US jurisdiction. You can see a lot of states are moving towards recreational use of marijuana. I know there's a couple people running for mayor in Illinois that are really, really promoting the fact of legalizing it here in Illinois. And most of the time, if people aren't familiar, you have to go, like the state will go to medical use, and then after a couple of years, once everyone's on board with the medical use, then it'll go to being moved towards recreational. That's how Colorado originally started. That's what happened in Oregon, California, a lot of these big states. That was the process. Same in DC. So as you can see here, a lot of states are starting down this road, but it's not going to be something that happens in the short term. This is going to take a while to get everybody on board and to move down that path. So from a regulation standpoint, the recreational use of marijuana is still illegal on a federal level. And recently this year, a policy that was put in place by the Obama administration was eased up, and basically this policy just eased the enforcement of federal marijuana laws in states that legalized the drug, but that was recently rescinded. So there's been high executives in the Justice Department that have been saying that, like, threatening that they're going to start cracking down really hard on the recreational use of marijuana. And for this reason, banks don't want to transact with dispensaries. And this forces any dispensary to primarily operate in because they can't get banks to transact with them. So this is the reason why cryptocurrencies have been a big potential for this space, and that's where we see Tokes enter. So Tokes was released in December 2016 on the Waves platform. Their transactions take less than a second, and their fees are less than a cent, and it's currently listed on Bittrex and Waves. So the big thing about Tokes is that they're one of the first cannabis coins that have an actual viable business model. And that's what really set them apart from, let's say, Popcoin that I looked at earlier and made me actually interested in them. So really, they have three pillars to their business model. The first is supply chain management. The second is a merchant gateway. And the third is just a simple transaction protocol. So in the supply chain management, they're implementing a protocol that is going to go all the way across the board from cultivation, processing, to packaging, quality assurance, and then all the way over to regulation and compliance. They also have this really cool patent pending, or FDA approval. It's pending FDA approval, but it's a molecular biotagging system, which you can go and spray on the infant plants and basically be able to identify the DNA of that specific strain. So one of the big things that they're trying to do is create a database for these strains so that they can track the evolution of different strains of marijuana. Then the merchant gateway is basically just to be a point of sale system. It's currently in a beta, but they're really trying to press that to get partners to get on board and to get dispensaries to want to use their platform. And then finally, a transaction protocol, just being able to use the Tokes token to purchase marijuana. So as I was mentioning earlier, they have A couple different areas that they're really trying to hit. Obviously, the blockchain integration with cryptocurrencies with their Tokes, which is just to be able to pay for if you want to go and buy stuff from dispensaries, being able to pay with the Tokes token. But then again, from on that other side where they're trying to build up a database so that they can track the evolution of these strains and be able to do, really collect a lot of data on this industry. Because right now it's pretty sparse because there's just so many people really don't want to touch it just because of the federal, because it's illegal on the federal level. So one of the other things that I really liked was they had a pretty detailed roadmap, which wasn't prevalent in some of the other cannabis coins that I looked at. And so you can dive into this more if you want to, but their roadmap it looked pretty viable. And then the other really good thing that I liked about Tokes is their partnerships. So TheraCann is a global network of cannabis operational experts. They have people all across the globe that are representatives of their company, and they're doing a lot of cool work, and they're partnered with Tokes. Along with that, Las Vegas has been starting to set up as kind of a cannabis central for the entire world. And one of the companies there, Herbology Tours, they do entertainment and education in LA. The CEO of Herbology Tours is part of the Tokes project, so there's going to be a really close relationship between them two. And I could see LA being a really big player in the cannabis industry in the short term and long term future. And then they also officially got a dispensary to accept Tokes. And last year in Q4, they cleared over $10,000 in transactions. So in my opinion, this is a long-term project. I don't think we're going to see, a quick 10x on this. I think it'd be a steady incline, assuming they can get people to partner with them. The partnerships are excellent, which also makes me really excited about the project. And as you can see, there's a viable need for this, and there's a viable use case. And the use case is that the platform is more than just a currency. And that's to do with the data that they're collecting and the services that they want to apply with their supply chain management. So the biggest hurdle for them, I see, is adoption. And that's one of their biggest focus points in their white paper and in their business plan. They're going to do a lot to promote adoption. And one of the things that they were talking about is for first-time users potentially doing giveaways. And they're going to fund this with their own money and potential coins that they haven't released yet. So as I said, they have a long-term business plan, which I really liked. And overall, the federal law is unlikely to change in the short term. So there's going to be a viable use case for this, at least in the short term. And dispensaries are looking for a better solution than just dealing in cash, because that's extremely risky and just really not a viable long-term solution for them. So I wanted to switch over and just show some PA on Tokes. So I do think this is a buy personally, but currently not right now. So this is the daily for Tokes. As you can see, we've been ranging in between these two ranges. Right? Can you guys not see this?
I just see as much as I can see while I'm driving and stopping at red lights. All I see is my opinion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, thank you. I wouldn't want to be. Can you guys see it now?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So this is the daily chart for Tokes. So as you can see, we've been ranging between these two support and resistance levels. Obviously, the red being the resistance and the green being the support. We did dip down a little bit here, but overall on a macro trend, we're really not we're going sideways. Down here, you can see the RSI, which basically takes the average gains of the past 14 days and plots them between 0 and 100 to signal if price is overbought or oversold. As you can see, we're trending down with RSI which gives me a bearish stance on Tokes. So overall on a macro trend, that's what we're looking at. If we drill into the 4-hour chart and pull up the Ichimoku cloud, we can look in and see that recently we had a bullish TK cross between the Kijun and the Tenkan, that's a bullish signal, but it's a muted bullish signal because overall we're seeing a lot of resistance from the Kumo, which is the cloud here, and you can tell it's resistance because it's red. And then you can also see that we tried to make a breakout, but we got rejected off the top of the cloud. So I would see us dropping back down. And then on top of that, we're also seeing resistance on this white line is the 200 exponential moving average. We're seeing a lot of resistance right there. So there's 2 levels of resistance that we're seeing on Tokes right now. So I could see it bouncing up and down here for a while. I'm looking to enter once we see a breakout from the cloud, and with putting a stop loss down here at this green line, because as you can see, we have gone below this resistance before. So if we did that, obviously you want to cover and manage your risk. But yeah, I'm looking for a short entry with a breakout above the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart and a breakout of this downtrending RSI. So if I hit both of those, then I would think that we would see a potential upswing with potential to get stopped at the daily cloud. So yeah, that's Tokes. Does anybody have any questions?
It's very interesting. But if I'm a dispensary, why do I use this as opposed to just saying, all right, I'm going to start accepting Bitcoin for transactions?
So that's a great question. And the reason behind that is, first of all, with Bitcoin, people are still going to have to pay the transaction fees that are associated with that. And so first of all, that's going to disincentivize people to want to use Bitcoin. Second of all, I need to do a little bit more research on this, but they're claiming that they can peg the transactions to provide a little bit more stability for companies that want to accept their token. So basically they're trying to, get people on board with this that don't want to have to deal with the volatility of Bitcoin. Because you don't go for a gram of weed with, X amount of bit, and then later have that gram of weed end up costing you way more than what it would have if you would have just paid for it in cash, because they obviously still be accepting cash at that point in time. So they're looking to peg the price to either like a gram of weed or like the US dollar. I need to look into that a little bit more, but they're trying to solve for that. And then also can pull up there.
So what platform is it on? If you're saying, it's on Waves.
It's running on Waves, yeah, because with Waves decentralized exchange, they want to be able to have people buy it with fiat to just make it easier to use. Why they didn't want to use Ethereum.
Okay, so how are they going to do? Are you very familiar with Waves?
Honestly, no, I'm not.
So it's almost impossible. It'd be very, very difficult to peg it to the US dollar unless you had an escrow account or something else of that nature, or unless they're going to just make tokens out of thin air. That seems a little fishy for what they're going to be doing.
So I know they do have a bit large supply of tokens that they're holding in escrow.
No, you'd have to have US dollar be an escrow.
I see what you're saying.
Because it's the same issue with Tether. Think about that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Or just accept Tether, but
yeah, you could do that. And there's still transaction fees on the Waves platform.
Yeah, they're just substantially smaller than Bitcoin.
And I guess
What was that, Jeff? Did we lose Jeff?
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, now we can.
Yeah, I just pulled into my garage, so I switched over to Wi-Fi, so it probably dropped me for a second. I had asked if I think the transaction speed was a lot quicker than Bitcoin, if I recall one of the other bullet points that you mentioned at the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess as a pro, yeah, volatility, transaction speed, transaction fees. Cons, you got to get a dispensary or a grower or whatever to start accepting this new platform and wondering, all right, what's the overall market buy-in for it? I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if I would get it. I think your technical analysis looks spot on. Probably would wait
right
to get
now,
in.
that would really just be more of the TA is more for a short-term play, just trying to make money off the ranging price. Because it's hit that red support line quite a few times. But I do think there is a long-term viability for this project overall, just because I don't think we're going to see federal legalization for weed. At least, I don't think we'll see it at least for another 2 years, because I don't think Trump's going to do it in his first term. And I mean, I don't whether he's going to have a second term, that's a completely different story, but I don't see him doing anything in this regards in the first term, which means we have another 2 years of this being an issue. And I think it's going to be an issue for a lot longer than this. And these dispensaries are looking for something to transact with, because cash just is not a good situation for them, because it increased their incremental costs for storage, for security measures, and especially in the places where it's legal, like they bring in a shit ton of cash. These people are making a lot of money off of this, because I know in Oregon it's extremely profitable. So they're dealing with high volumes of cash, and it's just not something that people want to be dealing with, especially when they're already having to worry about the potential threat from the feds. It's just another pain in their business models. So I think we'll see traction in some sort of cannabis coin or pot coin or whatever you want to call it. But this is the best project I've seen so far.